Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Kashish Mendratta. We are continuing our C++ STL series, and in the last video we have discussed about the vectors and about the various methods and various ways by which we can use the vector. In this video we will be discussing about the various algorithms in C++ STL. Most of the algorithms are applied to the integers, so I thought it's better to teach the algorithms after the integers. More or less, if I taught you the algorithms with integers, that would be same if you apply on float, that would be same if you apply on strings. So I would be demonstrating all the algorithms with the help of integers, and you can generalize for other data types also. Okay, so here I have basic boilerplate. So I have included the hash include bit slash std c++.h. With the help of this, we don't need to include any other header files, else we have to include other header files like hash include iostream. If I would be using vector, I would have to do hash include vector. I would be using algorithm, so I would have to use hash include algorithm. If you are writing some production code, then it's this approach is beneficial, but if you are just means using it in your code, so you can just write this line and you don't have to care about from which library it's coming. So I have one helper function to print the vector. I will be demonstrating all the algorithms with the help of a vector. So I have here hash defined pb as pushback, because instead of writing pushback I have to write just pb. So I have declared a vector and I have pushed some elements in the vector. So firstly I would like to show you how we can sort a vector. Firstly, if let's print a vector, so print a vector v, so it will display the current vector. So let's see that. So the current vector is 3, 1, 4, 2, 23 and 4 in the same order as we have pushed the elements. So now if we sort, to sort a function we just need to write the sort function, and we have to pass the two iterators. The first iterator is the beginning of that container, and this is the after last point of the container. For example, if this is, if my vector is 3, 1, 4, 2, 23 and 4, the end would be here after the 4. So we have to specify the first element and the iterator after the end. So if we have to sort the just 3 elements, 3, 1 and 4, so what we will pass? We will pass v dot begin and v dot begin plus 3, because we want to sort up to the second element. So we will pass v dot begin and v dot begin plus 3. So it will be sorting the array. So after sorting, let's see what's the position. Okay, so it has sorted the array for us. Now I have said you that if we want to sort just the 3 elements, so we have to pass v dot begin plus and v dot begin plus 3. It will point to the iterator of the third index. So it will be sorting from 0 to second index. So output would be 1, 3, 4, 2, 23 and 4, because it's just sorting the first 3 elements. Let's see that. Okay, so it has sorted the first 3 elements and not the entire array, because we have passed the pointers from first to the third iterator and it has sorted 0, 1 and 2 index. So this was the sorting. So we can apply the binary search. If there is no binary search, we have to write our own, but C++ STL provides us the binary search. So it returns bool. Bool is in array. So what we will be doing is that we have to write a function binary search. It has 3 parameters. So first one is the iterator to the first element. It is after the end of the element, after the end of the array, and then we have to write which element we need to search. So it will search whether that element has been found or not. So let's print out that. So it returns a boolean, so either 0 or 1 will be printed. Yeah, so 0 means 2 is not found. Why? Okay, why 2 is not found? We have sorted the elements and we then just finding whether it's present in the array. It should return 1 because there is an element 2. Let's run again. Why it is printing 0? Okay. Okay, our elements was now sorted. So we have to pass the sorted array in if we want to find a binary search. So it now it will return true. Yeah, it is returning true because 2 is found in the array, and we have to sort the array first in if we want to apply the binary search, and the complexity of this is of log n. And after that, if we have to find some element, if the array elements are sorted, we just have to find the element, we can apply the binary search. But if the array is not sorted, then we have to find the elements. So instead of binary search, we can just write the find, and find returns a iterator. It doesn't return a boolean value, so we can write an auto because else we have to write the iterator. So we write the iterator in this way. So instead of writing this long term, we can just write the auto keyword, and it will detect that what is the data type of that. So we can do the same thing, auto is in at, and then so it will return an iterator. So if an element is found, it would return the iterator to that element, else it will return the v dot end. So what we can check is that if is in array is equals to v dot end, that means it has searched in an array but it was not found, then we can write not found. Else what we can do is that else we can write found. So now let's check that. Yeah, so 2 is found. Let's check with some other elements which is not found in an array. I am saying vector and array, but it's vector, I am using it interchangeably, so it's not found. So this is how we can find whether an element is there in an array or not if the array is not sorted. If it's sorted, we usually do binary search. We can also do the find on that, but it will be of n complexity. If the array is sorted, we should apply binary search. After that, we can reverse the elements of an array also. So to reverse the element of an array, what we have to do is that we just have to use the reverse function. We have to pass two parameters, two iterators. If we want to reverse the entire array, we just have to pass the beginning and ending of the vector. Yeah, so it's an in place reversing, means the original vector is changed. So let's see that. Okay, so this was the original vector and this was the reverse vector. So it was reversing the whole vector. So if we want to reverse the just 3 elements, so what we can do is that we can pass the, if we want to just reverse 3 1 4, so what we can do is that we can pass the first iterator, that is v dot begin, and we can pass the iterator to this 2, which is v dot begin plus 3. So it will be reversing the first 3 elements. Okay, so first 3 elements are reversed and other elements are as it is. So now what we can find the maximum and the minimum elements of the array also. So to find the maximum element, we have to write max element, and we have to just pass the 2 iterators. begin and v dot end. So it also returns an iterator. So instead of writing the complete syntax, we can just write auto keyword. So this is the max element and itr2. To find the min element, what we can do is that similarly max element we can write min element. So these two returns the iterator. So we can just use that as itr, then itr2 star itr2 to access those elements. So it will be returning the maximum and minimum of those elements. So the maximum is 23 and the minimum is 1, which is displayed here. After that we can accumulate, we can see that how we can accumulate the means we can summation over an whole array. Simply how we can summation that, we can just write in this way. We can have a temporary variable of int sum equals to 0. Then what we can do is that we can loop over and just do that sum plus equals to a, and then cout a, cout sum. Instead what we can do is that there is a function for that. What we can do is that I can use the accumulate function, accumulate. So here we have to pass the 3 parameters. First is the beginning, second is the ending, and third is the initializer, means from we want to add all means this is the initial sum, means we want to add from 0. So let's see whether both gives the same result or not. Yeah, so both are giving the same result. So instead of writing this way, we can use a STL algorithm. So how we can count the number of elements? So if I say you that you have to count the number of 4s in this, so how you will find that? There are two ways. I will be telling you the both ways. So let's delete this first. So first way is that to have a sorted elements, because we can find the lower bound and upper bound if the elements is sorted. Firstly, let the elements is not sorted. So how we can do is that there is a count function. So what we can do is that we have to pass the 3 parameters, v dot begin, the 2 iterators from beginning to the end, in which we have to count, and then let's say we have to count the 4. So let's display the count. And the other way is using the lower bound and upper bound. I will be explaining you. So lower bound, so simply when I was learning I was little bit confused, but simply just see that these are two symbols, this is lower bound and this is upper bound. So means I have, if I am saying that I have to find the lower bound of 4 in the above. So firstly they are applied on sorted elements. So the sorted will be 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 and 23. So if I am saying that I have to find the lower bound. So lower bound means any element, first element which is greater than or equal to 4. So this will be the lower bound. Let's say writing the lower bound. So upper bound is the element strictly greater than that 4. So the first element which is greater than 4 is 23. So this is lower bound, this is upper bound. So the difference of that is 2. So that is equal to the number of 4s. So what we can do is that I can sort, and after that I can find the lower bound. So lower bound of v dot begin, v dot end, and 4. Similarly I can find the upper bound also. Upper bound and here upper bound. So the difference, so these two are the iterators. So the difference between iterators is the total number of elements. So let's see if both gives the same result. Yeah, so both giving the same result, that there are two 4s. Lower bound and upper bounds have some other applications also. It's not just finding the count, there are some other ways in which we have to find that what is the element, means we have to find any element which is greater than or equal to something, which anything which we have to find just greater than something, then we can use the lower bound and upper bound. Then we can use the permutations also. For example, permutations is, if we have to just find all the combinations of certain things, then we can use the next permutation function. So if I write the next permutation of vector, next permutation of v dot begin and v dot end, so it will give the next permutation. We can print that also, so that we can see the next permutation. Similarly, we can use the previous permutation also. So let's see that it will generate the different permutations. Next permutation, it's running. Yeah, so original was 33142. Okay, let's print first the original one. Okay, so in the first way, this was the original element and this was some other permutation, and this was some other permutation of the above elements. So this way we can find all the permutations of some elements. So this was not all the algorithms. Most of the time, 90% of the time, 90 or 95% of the times, everything you would be doing is from what I have taught you in this video. Also, what I have showed you, and this is valid for other data types also, means you can do on some strings, you can do on float elements also. It's all dependent, means, but most of the times you have to do on the integer. So I have explained you everything on the basis of integers, but you can do for other stuff also. So this was all about this video. Okay, in the next video I will be coming with some other container and we will be discussing on some that. Okay, meet you in the next video.